There is a bottle in your medicine cabinet right now worth more than everything else on that shelf combined. It costs less than $1. It has been sitting there, largely ignored, while you spent hundreds of dollars every single year on products that do a fraction of what it can do. The people who figured this out a century ago never stopped using it. They never needed to. And the reason most modern households forgot about it is not an accident. It is a story about money, about industry, and about knowledge that was quietly allowed to fade because it was too simple to sell. Welcome to Next Reveal, where we dig beneath the surface of what we think we know and recover the practical wisdom that time, commerce, and convenience have buried. Today, we are talking about hydrogen peroxide, specifically the 3% solution sitting in that brown bottle at every pharmacy on Earth, and the 15 ways the Amish have been using it for generations, while the rest of us filled our cabinets with specialized sprays, branded detergents, and overpriced solutions to problems that a single dollar bottle already solves. Stay with this, because by the end, you will never look at that brown bottle the same way again. Let us start with something that very few people know about the origins of this compound. Hydrogen peroxide was first isolated in 1818 by a French chemist named Louis-Jacques Thénard. What he discovered was a substance so chemically active that it breaks apart on contact with organic material, releasing oxygen that destroys bacteria, fungi, mold, and a range of surface pathogens instantly. By the early 20th century, it had become a household staple across rural America and rural Europe. Farm families used it for everything from sanitizing food preparation surfaces to treating minor infections, preserving fresh produce, and keeping livestock water clean. It was not a niche product. It was a cornerstone of domestic life. And then, gradually, it was not. The shift happened in stages. After World War II, the American consumer market underwent a transformation that historians of commerce now describe as the specialization era. Chemical companies, flush with wartime production technology, began introducing targeted cleaning products with specific branding for every surface and every task. A cleaner for the bathroom, a different cleaner for the kitchen, a specialized product for grout, for glass, for stainless steel, for tile, for fabric, for drains. Each one carried a marketing message that implied a problem only that specific product could solve. And over 40 years, it worked. Households that once kept 3 or 4 basic substances, vinegar, baking soda, plain soap, and hydrogen peroxide, gradually filled entire cabinets with color-coded bottles. The industry did not grow because household dirt became more complex. It grew because the marketing became more sophisticated. The Amish communities of Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, and Holmes County, Ohio, never participated in that shift. Not out of stubbornness, but because of a principle embedded in plain living. If something works, you do not replace it with something that costs more. And hydrogen peroxide worked. It still works. Here is how. The first use, and the one that surprises people most, involves fresh produce. A diluted solution of 3% hydrogen peroxide in water, used as a brief soak for vegetables and fruit before refrigeration, oxidizes surface bacteria and breaks down pesticide residue that accelerates spoilage. Amish households practicing this for generations have observed that leafy greens and berries remain fresh substantially longer than produce stored without treatment. The chemistry is straightforward. The bacteria responsible for rot require an anaerobic surface environment. Peroxide disrupts that environment completely, buying days of additional freshness. This is not folklore. The oxidative mechanism is basic microbiology. The second use is one you can see results from within minutes. A thick paste made from equal parts hydrogen peroxide and baking soda, applied to grout lines and left for 10 minutes before scrubbing, removes years of mildew and discoloration that commercial grout cleaners repeatedly fail to touch. The reason commercial products underperform is contact time and chemistry. Most spray cleaners are designed to be wiped away quickly, which limits how deeply the active agent penetrates the porous surface of grout. The peroxide paste clings, penetrates, and oxidizes the embedded mold at the root level. Amish households that have maintained the same kitchen and bathroom tile for 50 years often have grout that looks newer than tile laid last decade in modern homes treated with specialty cleaners. This brings us to something worth pausing on, because the pattern repeats itself across every use we are about to cover. The commercial cleaning industry did not replace hydrogen peroxide because they found something better. They replaced it because they could brand something more expensive. Peroxide cannot be patented. It is a simple 2-hydrogen, 2-oxygen molecule that has existed in nature since before human chemistry. No company can own it. No company can mark it up 4,000%. What they could do, and did do, was fill the cultural space around it with branded alternatives until the original was forgotten. That forgetting cost the average household hundreds of dollars a year. Across a lifetime, it becomes a number that is genuinely difficult to calculate without pausing. If you find this kind of recovered knowledge valuable, Next Reveal is exactly where you need to be. Subscribe now and follow along, because we are just getting started. The third use is laundry whitening. Half a cup of 3% hydrogen peroxide added to a white load in place of chlorine bleach achieves comparable brightening without the fiber degradation that bleach causes over time. Chlorine bleach is a powerful oxidizer, but it is indiscriminate. It breaks down cotton fibers with the same aggression it applies to stains, which is why white fabric treated with bleach regularly becomes thin and gray within 18 months. Peroxide whitens through a gentler oxidative mechanism that targets chromophores, the chemical structures responsible for visible discoloration, without attacking the fiber itself. Amish laundry traditions have relied on peroxide and sunlight as a whitening combination for generations, and the results speak across decades of use. The fourth use is rust removal from fabric. A saturating application of peroxide, followed by salt and direct sunlight, triggers an oxidation reaction that lifts iron-based staining from cloth without the fiber damage caused by acid-based commercial rust removers. The fifth is toothbrush sanitation. A 10-minute soak in 3% peroxide once weekly kills the bacterial colonies that accumulate in bristles and contribute to oral inflammation. The sixth is refrigerator interior cleaning. A diluted spray solution allowed to sit for 10 full minutes before wiping eliminates pathogenic bacteria from the surfaces where food is stored, including the rubber door gaskets where mold consistently grows. The seventh is dishwasher maintenance. A cup of peroxide run through an empty hot cycle monthly dissolves the mineral and protein residue, what dairy science calls milkstone, that accumulates inside the machine and causes the faint sour smell most people accept as normal. And here is where the story takes an unexpected turn, because that term, milkstone, connects to one of the most deliberately forgotten chapters in American agricultural history. In the 1920s, researchers working alongside Lancaster County dairy farmers documented something that troubled state inspectors when they first encountered it. Amish and Mennonite dairies were producing raw milk with bacterial counts so consistently low that inspectors retested the samples, assuming instrument error. The counts were real. The method behind them was a generations-old practice of rinsing all milk contact surfaces, pails, separators, lines, and storage vessels, with a dilute food-grade hydrogen peroxide solution. The peroxide dissolved mineral deposits, killed surface bacteria, and then decomposed completely into water and oxygen, leaving zero chemical residue in the next milk batch. When commercial dairy sanitizer companies began aggressive market expansion in the 1960s, pushing chlorine-based and quaternary ammonium products at a significant cost per gallon, the documentation supporting peroxide-based sanitation was allowed to quietly disappear from circulation. Extension offices stopped distributing it. A generation of farmers was trained to believe that modern chemistry had superseded what their grandfathers had done with a brown bottle and water. The dairies that kept the old method did so privately inside the community without announcing it. That same principle, peroxide as a complete residue-free sanitizer, scales directly to the household uses we have been covering. The eighth is washing machine gasket cleaning. The ninth is freshwater maintenance for livestock and garden water features. The 10th is vase water treatment for cut flowers, which extends bloom life significantly by suppressing the bacterial growth that clouds the water and clogs the stems. The 11th is cutting board sanitation after raw meat contact. The 12th is seed germination enhancement through a brief pre-planting soak that softens seed coats and eliminates surface pathogens. The 13th is kitchen sponge reset, a weekly 10-minute soak that eliminates the bacterial load that accumulates in sponge fibers, and that multiple food science studies have documented as among the highest contamination levels of any surface in the average home. The 14th is toilet bowl cleaning and odor elimination without chlorine fumes. The 15th use is the one that ties everything together, and it is the one the Amish dairy tradition directly inspired. Any food storage container, plastic, glass, or metal, that has developed a persistent off smell or interior cloudiness, despite repeated washing, can be fully reset with an overnight soak using a diluted peroxide solution. The biofilm that causes both the smell and the haze is an organized bacterial structure that soap and hot water disrupt but do not eliminate at the root. Peroxide penetrates it, oxidizes it completely, and then breaks down into nothing. The container emerges in the morning chemically clean at a level that mechanical washing cannot achieve. This is what the dairymen understood about their milk lines 100 years ago. Soap cleans the surface, peroxide cleans what is underneath. There is one more dimension to this story worth sitting with. A long-term occupational health study following thousands of women over 2 decades found that regular use of commercial spray cleaners produced measurable lung function decline, comparable to heavy daily smoking. The chemical compounds in aerosol cleaning products accumulate in enclosed spaces, adhere to respiratory tissue, and cause progressive damage that most users never connect to their cleaning habits. Hydrogen peroxide, when diluted and used properly, decomposes on contact into water and oxygen. There is no airborne residue. There is no surface absorption. There is nothing left in the drain to affect the water supply. The Amish women who favored the brown bottle over commercial sprays did not have access to the study. They did not need it. They had the observable health of their communities across generations as evidence. This is what Next Reveal exists to surface. Not conspiracy, not fear, but the honest recovery of practical knowledge that was displaced not by something better, but by something more profitable. The brown bottle in your medicine cabinet is not a relic. It is the answer to a question the cleaning aisle has been charging you not to ask for 50 years. The knowledge was never destroyed. It was just waiting for someone to look for it again. Now you have looked. The question is what you do next. Leave a comment below and tell us which of these 15 uses you are starting with tonight. And if you want to go deeper into the practical chemistry and historical documentation behind everything covered here, subscribe to Next Reveal. Because next, we are uncovering what traditional communities knew about white vinegar that the modern household has completely overlooked. You will not want to miss it. The brown bottle has been there your whole life. Now you know what it can do.